Have you ever noticed how some people do not just own pets? They raise them. They celebrate their birthdays, talk to them like children, worry about them like family. And while some people joke about it, psychology sees something much deeper. This is the psychology of people who treat their pets like their children. And no, it is not what most people assume. Let us start with emotional safety. For many people, emotional safety has not always been guaranteed in human relationships. Misunderstandings, conflicts, unspoken expectations, rejection. Pets do not operate in that world. They do not judge tone. They do not keep score. They do not withdraw affection to make a point. Psychologically, this creates a stable emotional loop. Care is given and care is returned. Consistently. For the brain, that reliability is not trivial. It is regulating. When someone interacts with their pet, the nervous system often shifts out of survival mode. Breathing slows. Muscle tension eases. The mind becomes quieter. That is why the bond feels so deep. This is not about pretending to be a parent. It is about the nervous system finally feeling safe. Now let us talk about caregiving. Humans are wired to nurture. When that instinct does not fully express itself through traditional paths, it does not disappear. It redirects. Psychology calls this attachment redirection. The emotional system looks for a safe place to land. Pets become recipients of routines, affection, protection, and concern. Not because something is missing, but because the capacity to care is still very much alive. This is where people misunderstand the bond. Caring deeply is not weakness. It is capacity. People who treat their pets like children often have a surplus of caregiving energy. They notice details. They anticipate needs. They feel responsible for the well-being of others. That is not immaturity. That is emotional depth. There is also something important about control. Modern life can feel unstable. Unpredictable work. Financial pressure, a future that feels out of reach. Psychology shows that when people feel a lack of control over their own lives, they seek environments where their actions clearly matter. With a pet, effort has meaning. You feed them and they thrive. You protect them and they relax. You show up and they respond. This creates a closed emotional loop where action leads to visible results. For the brain, that restores a sense of agency. Treating a pet like a child is not about dominance. It is about feeling that your care actually makes a difference. Now consider how people speak to their pets. Gentle tone, encouraging words, patience. Often, the way someone talks to their animal is the way they wish someone had spoken to them. Psychology refers to this as emotional mirroring. You are practicing care in a relationship where there is no rejection, no emotional punishment, no withdrawal of love. That kind of bond allows people to be fully themselves. Tired, quiet, vulnerable. Especially for emotionally deep but socially cautious individuals, this kind of connection is powerful. It is low-risk emotional bonding. And that is why the bond can sometimes feel stronger than with people. This does not mean avoiding human relationships. It often means understanding them very well. Research consistently shows that people who form strong bonds with animals score high in empathy, sensitivity, and emotional awareness. They read tone. They sense energy. They respond intuitively. These are not deficits. They are skills. But in a world that often rewards emotional detachment, those skills need a safe place to exist. For many, that place is their pet. Now we need to talk about grief. When someone loses a pet they treated like a child, the pain is often minimized. But the brain does not measure loss by species. It measures it by attachment. When that bond is gone, routine disappears. Regulation disappears. The quiet emotional anchor is no longer there. That grief is real, and psychology recognizes it as real. So if you treat your pet like your child, understand this. You are not overreacting. You are not childish. You are responding to the loss of a relationship that served a real psychological function. In a world that demands constant adaptation, you chose a bond built on presence, safety, and consistency. That says something important about you. It means you value emotional security. You are capable of deep attachment. You express love through care, protection, and daily attention. That is not a weakness. That is emotional intelligence. So if this felt familiar, you are not alone. And if you want more psychology that explains everyday behaviors without judgment or labels, subscribe. Because sometimes, the things people laugh at reveal the most about how we love.